In this video, we'll use Excel to bring in data from a website to analyze and create charts about a specific baseball game in September of 2018. From there, after we've created the charts, we'll bring it into Microsoft Word to create a report that has a title page, table of contents, the charts and descriptions of the charts, as well as a bibliography. The first thing we have to do is actually get the data and bring it into Excel. We're using a game that Marco Estrada pitched against Baltimore in 2018. So if we scroll down to here where it says Get Expanded Table Data, we can click on that and it'll bring up a new window, and it has a nice table for us with all of our information. So we can go to the last cell, click and drag to highlight everything. Make sure you get to the top left cell. Takes a little while to highlight everything, but we do not want that top line. So once you have everything highlighted, right click, copy, and then in Excel in A1 we can paste special and just paste the text. So that will give us everything here, and then we can rearrange our columns. It gives us a blank line in the top, so we can just delete that line altogether. Now another way to bring the data in is a little bit cleaner. In a new sheet here, I'm just going to say Get External Data under the Data ribbon from Web, and then I'm going to copy and paste this URL. So we're not copying and pasting the table itself, we're just copying the URL. And then if we go back to Excel and paste in that URL, it asks us which table we want. There's only one table here, so if we click on that little arrow, we can import. We're going to put it in cell A1, and everything comes in so much quicker and so much easier. So I'm going to get rid of the original one that we brought in, and I'm just going to use the new import that we pulled from that website. The next thing that we're going to do is use a pie chart to show which pitch types Marco Estrada used in this game. So if we scroll over to column P, we have MLB AM pitch name, and these are the different pitch types that he's thrown throughout the game. So we can use a pivot chart for this. We can go Insert, Pivot Chart on a new sheet, and we're going to look for that MLB AM pitch name. We'll drag that onto the axis and the values as well, because we want to count the number of times those pitches were thrown. We don't want a column chart though, we want a pie chart. If we click on that pie chart, then go up to Chart Tools, click Design, change Chart Type. We're going to click on Pie and then click OK. So that gives us a pie chart showing the different pitches that he threw that game. So mostly fastballs. Would be a little bit nicer to add some more information here though, so we're going to add some callouts. If you go up to Add Chart Element and then Data Labels, we're going to add a, let's say, outside end. So this gives us the actual number of the different pitches that he threw. We'll also change this title just by double clicking, and we'll change this to pitch types. If you haven't saved already, now would be a good time to save. Next, we'll create a bar chart to show how efficient he was in each inning. How many pitches did it take to get out of each inning? To do that, we're going to create a new pivot chart. So Insert, Pivot Chart on a new table, and we're going to look for inning. I can just search here, inning, and we'll drag that to axis. And then if we go back to our sheet here, we're going to use ID. So in column K, ID is the number in sequential order of each pitch that was thrown, and this is just by the Blue Jays right now. So this is just by Estrada. If we go back here, we have inning, and we're going to use ID as the value. So this one right here, and drop it into values. On its own, this doesn't work for us. This just sums everything up. We don't want the sum of ID, we want the count of ID. So if we go to value field settings, then count, this shows the number of pitches per inning. So we actually get quite a bit of information out of this chart. We know that he pitched 6 innings and how many pitches per inning as the game went on. This chart could be a little bit better. We don't have a ton of information on here yet. We don't have the axis titles, and we don't have any callouts. So if I go up to pivot chart design and then quick layout, you can scan through these. I'm going to go with this one here, layout number 9. It gives us the title, axis titles, and label. This is innings, so innings across the bottom, and then this is number of pitches. Across the top, we're going to change this title to pitches per inning. And let's add some callouts here. So if we go to add chart element, data labels, outside end, now we can really quickly see in the first inning he only threw 14 pitches, but in the third inning it took 21 pitches to get out of that inning. We don't need this total in our case, so I'm just going to click on that and delete it, and now we have a really useful graph. So we've already created a chart to show how many pitches it took to get out of each inning. If we wanted to go a little bit deeper to understand how many pitches it took per batter, we can do that next. If we look at the data that we have a column H here that says at-bat ID. Notice it starts at number 4. This is likely because the previous 3 batters were Blue Jays hitters, and now this is the first time that Marco Estrada pitched to Baltimore in this case. So there were 3 pitches to batter number 4. There were 6 pitches to batter number 5, and you can keep going down the list here. Batter 10 was the next time that Baltimore was at bat, and it keeps going through. 1 pitch to batter 12. So to understand how many, or to graph how many pitches it took to get each one of these batters out, similar to what we did previously, we can just insert a pivot chart on a new sheet, and we're going to use at-bat ID in the axis. So that gives us, these are the different at-bat IDs that Marco Estrada faced, and then we'll drag the same one into values. We don't want the sum. Sum by default is going to add all of these numbers together. We just want the count. So this shows us that the 4th at-bat, there were 3 pitches that it took to get him out. The 5th at-bat, 6 pitches to get that person out. This is a pretty good chart, but we're going to make some changes to it. If we go to design, quick layout, I'm going to use layout number 9 again. We'll call this axis title at-bat ID. And this one, number of pitches. And we'll call this entire chart pitch per at-bat. We can get rid of this key here that we only have 1 value, and we are going to add a call out by going to add chart element, and we're going to go data label outside end. Now we know how many pitches it took to get each batter out. There were a few cases, batter number 12 or at bat number 12 and at bat number 44, where it only took 1 pitch to get that person out, but he struggled with at bat number 30, throwing 7 pitches. The next chart we're going to create is looking at how his fastball changed speeds throughout the game. To do that, let's look at the columns that we have here. We have our ID, that's the pitch ID, the sequential order of pitch numbers as they were thrown. It doesn't say anything about the pitch. This is just an ID number for each observation of a pitch. As we keep moving on, we have speed somewhere here. start speed in column AS, so that's in miles per hour. The first one is 86.69, 86.31, and so on as we go down. So we are going to go to insert and then create a new pivot chart on a new sheet. We're going to look for ID first. Then we are going to find the speed. You can search for it there. There we go, start speed. And here it shows the different velocity as we move on. As a column chart, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, so we're going to change this design, click design, and then change chart type. We're going to create a line chart, and then click OK. So this doesn't really tell us a whole lot, mainly because this is showing all of the different pitches. We only want to look at his fastball in this case. So to do that, we can add a filter, and remember we have the MLB pitch name, MLB AM pitch name. We can drag to filters, and here we're going to only highlight the fastball. So now we have a line chart showing the changes in velocity as the game goes on. We're going to change the layout of the chart. Go to quick layout, and we're going to select this one here, layout number 4. We are going to change things around a little bit. We're going to remove this total, then we're going to add a chart title above the chart, and we'll call this fastball speed. Then we're going to add a axis title here. I'll say this is speed in miles per hour. And now we have a graph showing how he changes speed throughout the game. Now that we've created all the graphs in Excel, we're actually going to move everything over to Word to create a report. So this is what it looks like, what it should look like when it's all done. We have our title page with a description and a date. We have an introduction and links to where we got the information, table of contents, game overview, and then we get into the analysis. So we have a chart followed by a description of what's happening in that chart or what that chart is showing. Each one has a header here, then a short description, and a bibliography at the end. So to start this, I'm going to just copy the box score from the game overview. So in a new blank document, I'm just going to say game overview, and then I'm going to use the snipping tool in Windows. In Mac there are other tools as well, but a snipping tool just allows us to copy and paste part of the screen. I'm going to go to the MLB scores from that day and then find the right game. There it is. So I'm going to create a new snip, and I'm just going to click and drag, and that will let me copy that part. So from the snipping tool, or in Mac you can use a different snipping tool. File or edit, copy, and then back in Word I'm just going to paste that in there. So I just pasted an image in. We want to put an accurate reference, so we can go up to References, Insert Citation, Add New Source. This one is from a website. This one's a corporate author, MLB. Name of website is Major League Baseball. This one I believe is called Scoreboard. So the name of the name of the site was Major League Baseball. The name of the page was Scorecard. The year was 2000 and, let me check, 2018, September 19th. 2018, September 19th, and then the URL, I'm just going to copy from here, Control C and Control V. So click OK, and now I have that reference in there automatically. We can write a short description about this. I have one copied and ready to go. So I'm just going to talk about how the Blue Jays did that day, and Marco Estrada was the pitcher. The last thing we want to do in this game overview section, we want to change the layout here. So highlight game overview, and then in the home ribbon, we're going to call this heading number 2. This will allow us to make a really easy, really quick table of contents later on when we've added everything in here. So now we have the game overview already in the Microsoft Word document. Next we're going to add all of the different charts. So the first one was pitch type. So I'll start typing pitch type as a new heading and making sure that that is heading number 2. And again, that will help us make life easier when it comes time to add the index later on. So if I go back to Excel, now that I look at this chart, I feel like we could change it a little bit. So I'm going to add chart element, and if we go to data labels, I'm going to click data callout instead, because that will show us the pitch type and the percentage of each one, and that way we can get rid of this legend. So now we see that this is a changeup and this is a fastball. So from here we can just right click, copy, and then back to Word, right click and paste. And once it's in Microsoft Word, you can actually change the size of it too. Oops. So click and drag, and we can make this a little bit larger as we go. You want to add a description of each chart. Just looking at this chart on its own does tell us a little bit, but we need a little bit more context. So I've written one previously that I'm just going to copy and paste, but give some context to your charts as you go. So you'll notice an issue here as I started to type or paste my content in, it moved to a new page. I don't like that, so I'm going to move this entire graph and the content here to a new page. To do that, I'm just going to put my cursor in front of pitch type, and then I'll press Control Enter, and that moves everything to a new page. So you can do the same thing with the other 3 charts. Make sure that you put a heading with heading number 2 selected on the 3 different charts. So you should have 4 altogether. So now we have the 4 different charts from Excel just copied over with a description about each one, and we have the heading for each one labeled as heading 2. One more thing we should do is at the beginning add a little bit more information to the game overview. So we have the reference for this box score, but I've added a little bit more information here talking about where we pulled the information from, the raw data. So raw data is collected from PitchFX data from the Brooks Baseball website. Here we're going to add a new reference, insert citation, add new source. It's a website, corporate author of Brooks Baseball, and this is where we actually pulled the raw information from. Name of the web page, I just have it copied here, is brooksbaseball.net PitchFX tool. Name of site is Brooks Baseball, and the year, month, and day would be the same as we had previously, but I'll look that up. So September 19th, 2018. And the URL is this long URL that we have here. So I'll paste that in. So now we have our reference there in addition to our earlier reference. So we have everything ready to go. We are going to do 2 things. We're going to create a bibliography and an index. So at the very end, we can just insert bibliography by clicking on bibliography, built in, and that does all of the work for you because we've put those two references in place earlier. So this will make your life a little bit easier. Okay, maybe we'll add the table of contents first. So just a built-in table of contents, and because we have the headings, this automatically pulls everything in. And we can save that now. So we're just about done. We have contents, game overview, the different graphs, and our bibliography. The last thing we want to do is just add a cover page. So you can go to insert, cover page, find one that you like here, and add the information that you need. So I'm going to add the year, title, my name, and now we have our final document.